Ghostwire Tokyo has been a game that I felt I needed to play in my point of life right now. My desire to play games has been dead for quite some time, but something about this game made me want to try it. I'm not sure what pulled me to it, and I actually didn't know much about the game besides who made it and that it took place in Tokyo. However, here I am finding myself trying out this game and becoming addicted to it. Maybe it's because I'm a closeted weeb or I'm into Japan's horror and folklore, but whatever the reason is, I found myself not being able to put the game down. Something about exploring a world that is on the brink of destruction and seeing the real impact of the main antagonist's work really was breathtaking and made me feel like I was just never going to win. Hearing the banter between KK and Akita was also quite fun, and seeing how they grew from being a grumpy old man and a young adult who wanted nothing to do with him or anything going on to actual partners was nice. Seeing the dark atmosphere and how this game really made you feel all hope was lost was something I miss in games a lot of the times you'll have a big bad guy who shows you he's a real threat to the universe, but then the game's world doesn't reflect that at all. A good example in Ghostwire is the clothes lying everywhere. No matter where you go, subways, offices, and buildings, there's just clothes to be seen. It really does make you realize that the man basically did the Japanese rapture, and now we really gotta do shit to fix it. While playing, I kept seeing themes that hit me in my nostalgic areas, feelings that only one game has ever made me feel. Emotions and ideas and memories flooded to me as I did side quests in the main story. However, there was one moment in the game where hope really felt like it was lost, was when the idea finally hit me. The reason why these emotions and feelings felt familiar was because I technically played a game just like this in its theming and ideas, just tackling a different view on the same subject. I realized just how similar this game is to one of my favorite games, and that game is. Now, I know that may sound weird, but I want to state this first. Yes, these two games play nothing alike, and I'm not using the idea to tell you if you like Majora's Mask gameplay, you will love Ghostwire and vice versa. What I'm saying is, these games tackle theming in the same way, but from a different perspective. Think of it like the same book but different page. I will also do my best to explain what I mean, but I do think I need to give a brief rundown of Majora's Mask as well, because it's weird to think there are people who haven't even played Majora's Mask, so they wouldn't even really get the weird comparisons I'm going to make anyways. I know we're getting old. Majora's Mask is known as the weirder, darker Zelda game in the series because it's a whole game about stopping the moon from crashing and killing everyone while you help the town folks and outsiders' problems so they can come to terms with the fact that they're probably going to die. It was a unique concept back in the day and implemented very well with actually getting you attached to the NPCs' lives and motivating you to actually help them. To say if you didn't do the side quests, you actually were hurting your experience with the game is weird. By only doing the main path, you weren't getting the reasons why people still defend this game to no end as to why it's the best in the series by not indulging in things the game didn't even require you to do. Most modern games, the side quests tend to be so mundane or useless that I end up ignoring a lot of them. I'm not saying Majora's Mask and Ghostwire don't have their fair share of useless side content, I just think the more memorable ones make it still worth it to slog through the horrible ones. For every pooping ghost and frog song, there's the Lost Curse doll and Romani Ranch, meaning that sometimes slogs are there, but that shouldn't discredit the overly well done side quests. A lot of comparisons can be made from the fact Tattle knows Skull Kid while KK has connections to the main bad guy and people he knows, to how your first interaction with KK goes and him forcing you to help him by telling you if he leaves your body you will die. Tattle also forces you to help her since she tells you that only she knows where Skull Kid is and without her you won't get your Ocarina horse back. You do end up getting more motivation in Ghostwire to help since he captures your sister, but for the most part it's still the same grounds of you both need each other to get what you want out of this adventure. I know the whole different views or people teaming up and not liking each other, but later they do, isn't new, but I still love how it can be done. A lot of the time you do get genuine relationships that don't feel forced and actually realistic in the process of learning to trust each other. Both Tattle and KK go through a phase of not really caring much about you to being open about things in their past to learning to trust you. A perfect glimpse of this is after Tattle and you find a drawing causing a flashback. In Ghostwire, it's when KK finally opens up more about his family and him telling you even in life he never met someone as honest as you.
Pretty good having you around.
Why?
Let's just say I never knew anyone as honest as you when I was alive.
Moments like these are at first far and few, but as the game moves forward, you really see KK take on a dad sort of role to Akito. I really do think the buddy system here is done way better in Ghostwire because besides from a few moments with Tattle, she really takes a backseat for a majority of the adventure. While KK really makes the game for me and makes you not feel so alone as everyone is basically dead around you. As for the main bad guys of the stories, both have reasons for their actions, one being about the loss of his friends and the fact he's being possessed by a demonic mass that makes him fall into his mischievous feelings, while doing whatever actions that only benefit him, and the other distraught about the loss of his wife to the point of being driven to kill others for the chance of bringing her back because it's something he feels is needed. Again, both showing signs of selfishness. These actions end up causing massive damage to the land and its people, one causing hysteria and sadness with the idea that the moon may or may not crash, while the other just caused genocide. This is such a strong point about Majora's Mask and its emotions, where the townfolks are mixed on if it's really going to crash or if it's a lie. With each passing day, you see this become a dread that is hard to carry, from an older sister letting her younger sister get drunk so she'll pass out for the end, to a well-trained and unbreakable swordsman cowering in fear as he doesn't want death to take him. This is what I was trying to explain when I say the same book but different pages. Ghostwire and Majora's Mask tackle the idea of death and how fragile human life can be, but while Majora's Mask is a game about helping people be ready to pass on if death isn't avoidable, Ghostwire is about learning to accept death and moving forward from it. Now, I think it's time to dive more into why Ghostwire is so appealing to me as we leave a lot of these themes and comparisons to think about as we journey through this ruined Tokyo. Ghostwire, as said before, does a great job at making you feel like things are basically over and that hope is just a distant memory. Again, from the clothes lying around to the fog covering areas for miles and miles, it's not a good morale boost, I can tell you that. I think that's what appealed to me the most. I started to feel invested in fixing the problems at hand, just like I did years ago in Termina. I wanted to again bring up more about how dreadful everything feels. The monster designs I think do a great job at that. Seeing them walk around as if life is still a concept at this point, just to be met with a face like this, isn't really a fun feeling. However, by no means is this game scary. I think out of my whole time I felt scared once, but it was from a jump scare that surprisingly was just surprising instead of ear-bursting loud. I do think this game does a good job of a certain type of fear. While it may not be the certain type of fear most American games are used to, it's however a fear that once you're in it, you then realize how dreadful it is. And that's the fear of death and isolation, which is what I also feel Majora's Mask does well on. They both tackle the fear of an event wiping you out and having no control while feeling like a fish out of water or the odd one out. Even in Termina, being around people, you still feel isolated since you're not from there, and even when you do help people, you end up rewinding time, causing them to forget you anyways, bringing you back to feeling alone. Not every horror concept has to be loud and in your face. To some, just the idea of being stuck in a situation while knowing death is approaching is all you really need to feel true fear. The idea of being killed by a murderer is scary, but the idea of seeing everyone around you dying or already dead while you slowly have to come to the realization your time is ticking seems more frightening. This game also does a good job at tricking you to think survivors may still be around. At one point in the game, I thought I heard a woman talking just to realize it was a TV coming from an apartment. Anytime you have a hope that life may still be around, it gets shattered with the realization that it's just you and the demons that walk the earth now. It's also why I think the monster designs are so effective here. A lot of the times you would see men in suits with umbrellas walking around, especially since it rains a lot in this game, or high school students playing while the kid in the raincoat jumps around. So it's at first going to give you a false sense of safety till you realize that they're demons and not what you really think they are. I also see this going around about the Slenderman looking guys, but I'm pretty sure the design is supposed to reflect the Noporobos, which is a white faceless demon that pretends to be people. However, they did take some creative freedom to make these demons want to kill you when they're known to usually scare you. This is backed up by the fact that there's other legends such as the Kuchisakiona and the monster that I'm sure is a reference to the Yukiona because of her ice powers. Basically, each of these monsters are either made up for the game or a reference to existing folklore with some creative twists or freedoms added. Again, a great example of this are the Nekomatas, which are known to kill people sometimes, but in this, they're lazy shopkeepers who want you to bring them stuff. Again, I bring this part up because a lot of videos seem to hate the aspect and designs of the monsters, while one guy compared the Kuchisakiona to the vampire lady from Resident Evil 7. When it has nothing to really do with that design, I do understand the idea of the designs not being scary and overdone, but a lot of the designs are from designs made years and years ago, and a lot of the points of the enemies in the game are to look like people from far away. That's not to say they don't go overboard with the demon looks for some, but I'm assuming that wasn't their intent with every monster. Going back to the side quest aspect of the game, I really feel it's worth visiting for some of the side quests. Again, the same way Majora's Mask went on to ask, how do I help you be okay with this? Ghostwire asked, how do I help you move on from this? Many of the side quests either can be finding yokai who give you upgrades or collecting souls, while also helping some spirits move on from the world because they're still worried or bothered by something that caused them to stay here. It's a pretty good feeling finding a spirit and helping them, but sometimes they're a little weird. Some spirits can basically be stuck here because they saw a yokai, while others need to be stuck here because they need to wipe their ass.
I think there's blood.
You've wiped enough.
It can be a little dumb, but even Majora's Mask had its share of dumb side quests that are fondly remembered, so I'm fine with it. I really do feel the side quests add to the journey, and it makes you feel like you're fixing things around the whole city. I also don't mind collecting the souls, even if there's over 240,000 to find, which again is a lot, but the little cool detail about that is the fact that Shibuya's population is around that number, so that's why there's over 240,000 to find. Collecting these, however, levels you up way faster and benefits you with upgrades, so it's not like it's a waste of time. Still, it is a lot to ask of the player to collect 240,000 of them for 100%, but most of the time they're either on the way where you're going or they're on buildings, which you're going to want to be on as much as possible anyways to avoid a lot of the demons on the ground. I did decide to make a list though for you guys on what side quests I like by order from best to worst, but I'm not going to read it all out for you. If you want to pause it here, you can, but I will at least read the top 10 that I think are really worth trying. Here's the list. I'll give it about 5 seconds before I move on, so you can pause anytime during that to read it. You hear about a guy owning a dog that can talk and even has a human face, just to learn that it's two brothers and one is keeping the other captive, telling him he's a dog and treating him like a dog. You luckily saved the dog man from his brother and they both move on. You learn about a house pulling souls in as someone also tells you he stole a lot of stuff. You find a house and see it sucking everyone up. You go into it and see it's owned by a hoarder and specters are everywhere in this place. You go through the house purging every specter you find. As the last one purged, you free the man who lived there as he moves on. You chase a dragon that ended up fleeing from his door painting and now wanders around. You chase him around trying to stop him from leaving. You fight a few monsters, but once beaten, you cleanse the dragon and he goes back to his door. You hear about creepy music coming from an area and how the music is corrupted sounding. You head off to investigate just to learn it's coming from a piano. You meet a girl who tells you whenever she plays the song, it's just corrupted and all she wants to do is be able to play it again. You come to the idea that the corruption isn't from her and learn that a painting on the wall holds the spirit of a musician that's jealous of her and doesn't want her to be better than him. You deal with the problem and end up being able to let her play the music once again. A cool YouTuber streamer person decides to make her home more spiritual but ends up making it a home to demons, so you're tasked with cleansing her home for the reward of her moving on. You go into her home and see straw dolls and other weird stuff around the place. Luckily, cleansing the home is easy and once done she moves on. I believe this is a reference to an old 2chan story about a girl who boards a train and then never comes back. Well, it starts off by you hearing rumors about a station that doesn't exist. You can end up going here by being the last person on the train. You decide to see if the rumors are true as the train pulls up, taking you to a weird empty station. You find souls stuck here as they're not able to leave. Then you hear as if the train is leaving just to find another tall lady. You learn she is what's stopping anyone from leaving, so you take her out and bring all the souls back to the normal station. This one I feel is an obvious reference, but moving on. You head to the hospital to hear about a girl who was given new eyes but died from not sleeping. You end up fighting the guy who gave her the new eyes, and he ends up feeling terrible about cursing her. You then end up fighting the red lady in this nightmarish area, and you beat her, causing their torment to end. You learn about the guy who owned a cursed doll and was trying to rid it but soon died doing so. He tells you no matter what, the doll would find its way back to him and even would see its hair grow. You find a trail leading to the doll as it begs you to cleanse the curse of it. Once you do, you learn the ghost inside the doll was actually his sister and she was protecting him from a curse that sadly killed him. You let him know about what happened and he realizes he was being helped and then passes on. This is 2 missions in one, but they continue off of each other. You end up hearing about a cursed diamond a shopkeeper sold to someone, so you set off to cleanse it, just to find it and the ghost who owned it doesn't want you to take it. She says some weird things about the diamond being special and stuff, so you end up letting her keep it and she leaves. Then the shopkeeper tells you about how he owns 2 cursed masks owned by dead lovers who wanted to use the mask to reunite once at death. You set off to find the mask, and when you find one, it attaches to you and starts to drain your life force. So you hurry through and find the other masks and reunite them to let the lovers pass on. What's cool about beating this mission, you also get these masks as permanent cosmetics if you ever want to wear them. So this is a side quest that I feel is number 1 you should do, mostly because going straight to the end, you won't be able to do these after if you go to Tokyo Tower. It's not the most fun one, and actually even KK calls it tedious during the mission. You follow Erika's ghost around the city to find out where she went before death. This is technically 3 missions in one, but your reward is letting Rinko and Erika give their final wishes towards each other, which is why I feel this is the most important one to do.
Rinko. Rinko.
Who's that?
Erika? Rinko. Please don't blame yourself. I know you were just trying to protect me. Thank you.
Erika, it's me who should be thanking you.
Guess this means things are okay between them.
They were always close. Don't imagine that's gonna change.
With that stuff out of the way, I think it's finally time to dive into the main story of Ghostwire. If again you didn't heed the warning at the start, there will be spoilers for the whole game. If that's fine, then we can move forward. Again, at the start, you get possessed by KK, and he basically forces you to listen to him and let him use your body while you fight back. You then get attacked by demons while he teaches you how to use his power. He's still adamant though that he uses your body for whatever he wants, but you tell him you have to visit your sister in the hospital first. He lets you go see her, and as soon as you arrive to the hospital, you learn that demons walk around and gather souls, but not sure why they want them, just that they're after them. It's finally some small answers to the many questions we have. We reach our sister's room just to learn she gets kidnapped by the main bad guy with 3 other masked assailants. He then stabs you and leaves you for dead. With the help of KK, you're given a chance at life as long as you help him get what he wants with no other choice. You end up agreeing and let him take your body. You learn you can save souls by sending them through payphones with Katashiros. This is also what allows you to hold spirits, and you can hold a total of 50 Katashiros. You arrive at KK's old apartment and learn about his friends, who he states were friends. KK then offers you a bow he found at a shrine to deal with the demons as well. He then sits you down and tells you how everyone who touched the fog has now vanished, and how we need to find where the masked man is and his sister to save everyone. You then look for shrines since they're the only ways to cleanse the fog out of Shibuya and to attain the other two methods of fighting the demons, the fire element and the water element. After cleansing a few shrines, you learn one of the masked people headed to the underground subway, so you decide to follow his spirit trail to find him. Once found, he sends you to this void area with him and you fight off with him. You end up breaking his mask just to learn the body the masked man is using is KK's own body. He then ends up stealing KK and sealing him in a spirit box as you're left on your own with no powers. Once arriving, you find his old friend Rinko, and she gives you something to give to KK. After that, she disappears, and you figure out it's a picture of a lady and a kid. You search around and find a shrine where KK is, and you end up killing all the demons outside to save him. At first, KK plays it off as he doesn't care if you came to help, since he knows you need his power, but after showing him the picture, he realizes Rinko is still around, but not alive. He then goes back to your body as you both realize you need each other to survive this. After this, a giant light pillar appears, so you go find Rinko to learn about how they're making the fog appear in the city as it's coming from a torii gate. She tells you how you're gonna shut it down before being attacked by demons. While searching for the torii gates, you run into another ghost girl named Erika as she points you to an apartment. You then learn that Rinko, you know, is an imposter. Rinko fights back against her and luckily manages to save you guys from being trapped. After this is done, you call her on a payphone and she sends you to the exact coordinates from the torii gate to rid the fog, but you have to investigate the pillar of light first. You follow the trail to it and finds it leads to a forest. You head deeper into the forest area as you see a bunch of spirits just floating around as the severity starts to be apparent. This guy has to be stopped or more souls will suffer. You run into him as he's with the other mass assailants as the ceremony is being started. You then learn he's trying to fuse the human world and the afterlife together to see his dead wife again. You also learn that the other mass assailants are his daughter and wife's body. He explains how he used his own daughter's life to make the barrier because he just sees the bodies as vessels and useless. You then fight the daughter as she turns into a giant cat demon and rips KK out. After beating her, you realize you're too late and the ceremony has started. A giant dark being appears as he walks out of the area you're at. This moment right here was when I knew all hope was lost.
Damn it! So close again. Damn it!
KK, we need to go after him.
The daughter then approaches you, trying to still fight as you finally put her soul to rest. You learn there's more than one dark being as they all head to Tokyo Tower for the sacrifice of your sister. You then go around cleansing more torii gates as you find Rinko's motorcycle that would actually be able to transport you to Tokyo Tower, since it's custom fitted to survive the fog but sadly isn't working. You learn a car has a turbine and a gas as you also need some underwater oil, which only shows up at certain torii gates. Sadly, the car you found was useless. Just out of nowhere, a giant ice demon freezes you and takes you to a weird portal while ripping KK out. You protect KK and save him, obviously. After fighting the shrine, you end up fighting the ice demon for the underworld oil. After getting the oil, you learn about the supercar in the starting area having a turbine wheels, so you head there and get the bike ready to be fixed. Once fixed, you finally can head to Tokyo Tower for the final battle. In what feels like an Advent children's section, you rush through the fog while one of the masked men sees you and starts to destroy your bike while you avoid him. Luckily, at the last second, you make it through before he can take you out. You arrive at Tokyo Tower, where you find Rinko not in good shape, and she tells you this is the place she died, but because of us, she can finally move on as she has no regrets anymore from her life. As Rinko gives her final words, she vanishes, leaving behind the world and everything she knew. You get closer to Tokyo Tower as the main bad guy's wife attacks you, turning into a giant spider demon. Luckily, with enough courage, we take her down and put her spirit to rest. So I want to stop here before I explain the ending area because I have some things I have to add first. I'll go into more detail about the ending, but for now I want to cover a few things I left out in the previous segment. Let's start with the bosses. one thing I really love they did with the bosses is reflect certain aspects of the characters into them. From the fact Erika turns into a cat demon because she was abandoned, she would take care of stray cats to feel like she had a purpose, which is why her apartment is filled with them. Another interesting detail about the bosses is while fighting, they'll talk. You get to hear the person's sorrows and stuff that they said in the past. You hear during the fight a conversation between Rinko and Erika as she feels she's useless and how she's always letting people protect her, but she wants things to change.
I get it, Erika. I really do. But I just can't make that call. I can't.
I just wanted to fight. Dad, Mom, Rinko, people are always protecting me. I'm always standing behind somebody else. For a long time, that never bothered me so much. But it's different now.
You found another one? Fine, but this is the last one, seriously. Better come up with a name.
I was just like a cat, sitting around, being taken care of. But is that any way for a person to live? No, it's not. Not at all. I'm just a cat. Locked in a cage. It's such a strange feeling. The harder life gets to deal with, the emptier I feel. But no one understands. I'm just a burden, always being protected. I'm a hollow shell, waiting for someone else to decide who I am. I'm barely even alive. Not in any real way.
You should stay here. It'll be safer that way.
No, this is wrong. It's wrong! I deserve to live too!
Got it! KK!
Thanks, Akito.
Okina is another sad fight as she tells her husband how she's grateful for being brought back, and how her heart hurt to leave both of them behind. A grief stricken by both of them, bringing them together. However, things take a turn for the worse in the dialogue.
My love. Thank you.
You don't have to thank me. I wish only for you to live.
It hurts so much to leave the two of you behind. But I always knew you were strong. That you would pull through.
Must be a memory of her and her husband.
Mom is gone, but I'll be here to pick up the slack. Please don't worry about a thing, Dad.
Erika, your mother hasn't really loved us.
My husband could not accept my death. It drove him mad.
Is she blaming herself?
This is to make you happy.
That was his voice.
Now, you must enter the vessel.
What? No! Who are you?
This is all to make you happy.
So wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you. But if we don't fight, we can't help her.
The fight with KK's body finally reveals his real name and the fact of what he's holding on to. He believes he's fighting hard to help others in his family while no one ever supports his actions, leading KK to push himself into isolation.
I am a fighter. It's everything to me. There's nobody that fights harder. But does anyone ever see that? No, not even my family. So pathetic. It's down to him and me. He really does need an ass kicking. Can't believe it's come to this. I got no one. Not a single person to back me up. Well, I don't need them anyway. I'm just fine on my own.
But then KK says something that really shows his growth.
KK.
But it's different now. I got you.
Yeah, you do.
What do I even keep fighting for? I don't know. I don't know! I've lost everything. All of it! But that's more reason to keep going. You can't just die with nothing to show. That's what I hang on to. Through all of this. Akito, don't you end up like me. We gotta stick together, okay?
Yeah, I know.
As mentioned before, KK goes this whole game finally learning to trust someone, so hearing this really hits home. There's one more boss, but I'll cover that in the ending segment for now. Let's just cover the main issue for the game. Akito's journey through the game is about loss and dealing with blaming yourself. Akito and his sister have a very strained relationship, and at first you're not shown much besides a few flashbacks until this one plays.
She's always giving me crap about locking up. Hypocrite. Mori. Mori!
This flashback shows the reason for the sister's condition and how Akito blames himself for the fire hurting his sister. It's why he's so adamant on trying to help her. He needs this hope that he can save her to not hold on to the blame. He really feels if he would have been there, he could have saved her. He stormed off from grief he still holds with the loss of his parents to the point he won't ever visit their graves or acknowledge their birthdays. It's a classic sign of not wanting to accept loss. That's the issue with grief. We all deal with it in different ways. While others use the pain and sorrow for constructive things, some however let the pain take over, and it can really bring someone who was once a happy, loving person to a former shell of who they were. It's why death is so scary to some people. The idea of not fully understanding what death is, but understanding the pain, can be too much for some people to handle. It's why Akito knows his sister's condition isn't getting better, but still holds on to hope and maybe in a way feels if she did die, he would have let his parents down since he was all she had anymore. It's again why I feel the ending for this hits so hard. Just like in Majora's Mask, you go through the game helping others feel like they can finally die if the moon does crash. In Ghostwire, you help spirits finally move on. While doing this, it's as if you're teaching Akito and KK about being able to accept death for what it is. That death isn't this scary concept that everyone wants to believe it is. It's again why the final moments of this game made me actually tear up. I think it's time to talk about them. We finally arrived at Tokyo Tower as Akito starts hearing the cries of his sister telling him how he never cares or thinks about her well-being and how he's selfish, taunting him about how he's afraid she will die because of his actions as KK tries to snap you out of it. You finally run into the main bad guy with your sister. However, he says something that I never thought would be said about death, something that even when I heard it made me think.
Have you asked her? Why are you so certain that her spirit wishes to return to this shell? Can you imagine what your sister endures beneath these bandages? Remaining tethered to this body will only prolong her agony.
A concept I'm sure we all have thought about once. Being in a state that we wish to not live is something that scares even me. Having your body be in a state where you can't live a normal life, is it really fair to want to keep someone in that state just for your own happiness? He then takes her into one of the giant dark beings as KK tries to snap you out of it, and I really do feel this is one of the strongest scenes of you two, to the point he goes to almost choke you to death to have you snap out of it, and then says the strongest lines in the game, accepting both faults of him and Akito.
Mori, what do you want?
Don't let him rattle you! Up! Now! Get up or I'll ditch you for good! Is that really all you got, Akito? I can do this myself. I'll kick my own ass. Akito, you just don't get in the way. So you're scared, right? Of how she might feel. Of finding out that maybe you did all this for nothing. You're afraid to hear the truth.
What do you know?
Nothing. I never even knew what my own family was thinking. That's why you need to go find out for yourself.
KK.
I'm not stopping now. Are you with me?
I am. Let's go. I gotta ask her myself. Can't die yet.
After you beat KK's body, you both run and go inside a giant being as you make it to the abyss. You walk through the deserted areas and come across a door. A soft blue light shines through. Real quick, you see, Majora's Mask is known for a song called The Final Hours. It's a song that embodies the idea of, are you prepared? Did you do what needed to be done? You're gonna let everyone down if you didn't. What were you doing this whole time? Hurry up and save everyone! As if the song itself is taunting you about how everyone's lives are on the line and it's your fault if they die. It truly is a beautiful song, and I don't think there's ever been a song in the Zelda series that tops the level of emotions, with only one coming close is Midna's song. There's a reason why even if you've never played it, you probably know this song. It's just that iconic to the game. Well, Ghostwire in a way has its own Final Hours song. It's not about the people around you though, and how you need to save them. It's a song about you, or Akito in this point. It's a song in the area it's used in I feel truly embodies letting go and accepting your wrongs and moving from them. As you go through the game, you learn about other people's struggles and how to help them let go, but you never have the chance to really help yourself. Till now. I would advise one last time, if you have any interest in this game, even getting this far, I would just pause the video and play the game. I will do my best to show the impact of this scene, but I can only do so much. The full impact comes from the journey of helping others and growing, which sadly can't fully be expressed in just one video alone. With that out of the way, let's move on. You go to the door and open it just to be greeted with this. A hospital as this soft song plays. Keep in mind, this song feels out of nowhere because throughout the game you're mostly hearing droning or ambient tracks to help feel the impact of isolation. I wouldn't call those songs beautiful in any way, but this, it really does show the beautiful side of sadness. Seeing these memories and even KK asking whose memories they could be till you finally realize these are Akito's. He goes through each door seeing the interaction with his parents and Mari, just the life they shared and how close Mari was with their parents. Each door showed more memories of Akito and Mari and how close they were when they were younger. Him even making sure she's okay at school like a big brother would. Then as more doors open, their interactions start to become more distant.
Akito, I'm coming too!
No, I'm going out with my friends. You just walk home by yourself.
My memories and Mari's.
The fact you see how distant Akito really became over time, well, that kind of hit me like a train. My personal life, I can say, led me down the same path, and I became distant from a lot of my family. Even though things are different now, I still remember how it felt to never feel like I was a part of the family. As more doors are opening, you see him and Mari buying a gift for their parents. Then more hospital rooms open up as Mari and Akito talk about how their mom is becoming more tired day by day. You have a moment where it seems like the relationship is getting better. Mari and Akito finally are at a festival enjoying themselves as they sound both happy. But then Mari talks more about her mom.
Mom's gonna be okay, right? I don't want her to go away. Why does everyone go away? I guess Mom and Dad are finally back together.
Yeah.
The next door opens up to Mari and Akito talking about their new start. However, things seem to go downhill from there as even the environment starts to change.
This isn't even a beginning. We're just falling further down.
How far do these steps go?
Don't be scared. You'll be okay.
How much farther can we go? Sometimes I wish we could just hit the bottom and get it over with. At least then, we could be with Mom and Dad again.
Stop it.
Don't turn away, Akito. You wanted to hear how she felt.
The music slowly gets darker to the point of being unrecognizable to what it was at the start. The soft beauty of sadness is now replaced with droning strings of hurt and betrayal, leading to a cave opening. You finally get to the last area as the song 17 Doors comes to an end. You and KK find a giant door as you both force it open using your strength. When you get inside, you see souls flying around a giant torii gate as the main guy who caused such suffering, Hanya, is now waiting for you with your sister as he starts to shock her for the sacrifice while demons surround you to stop you. You watch as Akito dodges and shoots as many as he can, but the number is just too much as the souls start to go into her body. Out of nowhere, a giant lightning shock appears, knocking him back, while creating cracks in the ground, which then opens a giant hole to the underworld. Hanya then, with the gate open, tries to bring the demons out, but then realizes nothing is happening as all his demons fade away. They both turn to see Mari floating as she finally opens her eyes. Hanya tries to stop her but gets knocked down into the underworld hole. Akito runs to catch his sister, finally being reunited with her once again.
Mari.
Akito, thank you for coming for me.
I'm sorry. I wanted to apologize.
I know you have. It's what kept me here. It wasn't your fault. I went back for this. It's our only memento of Mom and Dad. I couldn't just leave it behind.
Mari.
Big brother. Live.
I
I'm so glad I could finally tell you.
Akito finally got his wish. The forgiveness and the ability to let go of his pain. This right here hits very hard to me. You go through all this trouble helping others and to save your sister just to lose her. But at the end of it all, you gain forgiveness, and sometimes that's all you can really ever ask for. Hanya then crawls out from the Underworld Gate with his daughter and wife on his back as he then fuses with them to create them as a whole to exist in eternal paradise. This proceeds to the final fight. The end is here. During the fight, Hanya says some things that are quite counterproductive to his overall plans. As he wails on the mask, destroying each core one by one, he realizes he's dying. The win he thought was going to be easy is now far from his reach, so he says this.
Why do you deny me? Why do you interfere? Just as the two realms have united, we two must become one.
Who'd want to merge with an ass like you?
We gain nothing from partings. None can comprehend death. We can but unite.
He lost his shit. Merging with them has totally destroyed his mind. Beyond pathetic.
Why do you interfere? Why? Why? I was to be your salvation. Oh, become one.
Sorry to disappoint, but this body's already taken. You know, it's actually not that bad. It's all about learning to live together. Right, partner?
Right. You monster! You're just too far gone to see it!
A man driven by grief who took countless innocent lives for the chance of seeing the ones he loved is afraid to die. After defeating him, you find your sister lying in the grass as the souls are now being free to move back to their bodies. Everything is now going back to normal besides the loss of your sister. As Akito reaches for her, the rings start to glow as he's then teleported to an area with two white dress figures.
Dad. Mom. You died on December 10th. And Mom on June 9th. I didn't forget. Of course, I could never forget. Never. I won't keep pretending it doesn't hurt. I'm gonna live. Even if it means feeling weak. See you later. Next time we meet, I'll have lived a good, full life. Okay?
Akito learned through this adventure with KK how to deal with loss and regret. For some people, keeping those feelings around can sometimes feel like keeping a part of the person they lost. If you were to get rid of those parts that make you remember them, would you lose a part of you in the process? By ridding the void they left from their passing, are you removing what was once there, a place where they called home? These are questions I feel the game does well of asking. It's why so many spirits stayed and held on instead of passing, scared to leave the memories or world behind because doing so meant not having peace with said person or things being gone. Again, as stated before, I think these games do well with dealing with death. As Majora's Mask covers, it's okay to feel scared about death, but you need to be able to accept that it can happen. While Ghostwire teaches you to accept when it has happened and to be able to understand that person may be gone, but the memories are still with you.
KK.
Don't get yourself possessed again, Akito. Most wraiths aren't half as charming as I am.
Yeah, you're a real charmer. Can't get you out of my head. You ought to be grateful. Thank you. Rest in peace, KK.
So, is your sister a patient here?
Yeah, her room was on the 4th floor.
That soul's beyond saving now.
Am I dead?
Yeah. If you don't do something about it.
No, I can't die yet. Mari, what is going on? Who are they?
Your friends.
Huh?
Emphasis on the were. Seems like you're starting to get the hang of my power.
I liberated your spirit from its prison, yet still you cling to mortal flesh.
Piss off! I'm not running! I'm still here!
Are you just running away again? Nothing's gonna change. If you won't face it. Mom died 2 years ago today. You never visited Dad's grave when it was his time either.
What? Why are we fighting? Because that's me! He made this monstrosity out of my body!
Gone. My powers. KK. Everything.
You and that grumpy old man. Sure seem to have hit it off, huh? Give this to him for me. It's important.
Rescue? Let's not dress it up. You're here because you need my power. Am I wrong?
I'm not asking. It's an offer. And neither of us has much choice. We can still turn this around. It's not over yet.
This crackpot wants to harvest a ton of human souls to connect our world to the next. His wife got sick and died 5 years ago, and now he's trying to bring her back. That feeling in your chest, screaming at you to make it right. Hold on to that feeling. It's what gives life meaning.
Live. Embrace
keep pretending it doesn't hurt. I'm gonna live. Even if it means feeling weak.
Don't get yourself possessed again, Akito. Most wraiths aren't half as charming as I am.
Yeah, you're a real charmer. Can't get you out of my head. You ought to be grateful.
Thank you. Rest in peace, KK.
Looking at the developer's commentary, you can really tell this team is passionate about what they make. They legit went out of their way to make Tokyo look as realistic as possible because they knew everyone in the office would find something they love about it and then build from that. Going on to describing it as a strawberry shortcake, they even go on to describe why the game isn't really meant to be like the other works and more deep dive into the action-adventure genre and how when the music and sounds remain, they made sure to inspire positivity in the player from the actions. Yokai and traditional Japanese music were also a big part of the design of the game, which can easily be seen, and it's also nice to see yokai represented in a modern style, since the only game I can think of them is Yokai Watch. Also, for the first time making a non-linear game, it really showed how even for their first attempt, it was a nice one. Not perfect, but I think for them not being experienced with this type of stuff and even being open to how hard it was at times to make things work, I really hope they keep moving in this direction. Well, this has been my video on how 2 games dealt with death. I know this was more about Ghostwire, but that was sort of the point from the start. That being said, thank you guys for getting this far into the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun working on this. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.